This is a special episode of Beyond the Ride as we're doing our very first long-term review, the XSR900 and the XSR700. But because we have two bikes and only one of me, I need some help. My good buddy Marc Nelson is going to be joining us in this episode.
All right, sounds good. I only have one question.
What?
Why is yours bigger than mine?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not compensating for anything,
Are
I
you
promise.
sure?
Yeah, I promise you. All right, let's
I guess
go.
we're going to find out.
Let's go. All right, here we go. Hey, Cardo, music on.
What are you listening to?
Well, I have my own playlist that's called Ride, Jinno Ride. So it's just, every time I go on a ride, that's what I listen to. Anyway, so let's talk about these bikes, right? I mean...
How original.
Let's head to Tagaytay, going to Gourmet.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Okay. All right, let's talk about these bikes. You know, the first thing I noticed about riding these bikes is the same as, and it's the same with the 700, the 155, and my 900. Mm-hmm. The position of the horn is really weird.
Oh my God.
Right? It's like, I don't know if it's me, but I don't think if my thumb is long enough to reach it all the time.
You know, we've talked about this before, and it was the one negative I had with the XSR when I bought it. The placement of the horn button, I think, was designed by a Japanese for Japanese riding.
Yeah.
They don't really use the horn very much. There's no real need for it, so they just kind of like tucked it away and put it somewhere, which in an area which it doesn't really feel natural to hit.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird spot.
Every other motorbike I've ridden has a horn in the same place.
Yeah.
Except this one.
Yeah. And it's all the same, right? This one, the 155, the 700, 900, and 155 is all the same. It's a little bit bizarre. Anyway, that's just a little nitpicking about the XSR series. But you know what else? I know that your seat is a lot more comfortable than mine.
Oh yeah, mine's super comfortable. I mean, we rode it, I think, on our way up to Sagada. It was like 10 hours of riding on one day. And I got off that feeling absolutely fine. So that was, yeah, super, super comfortable for long rides. How about yours?
Yeah, if I ride the bike for more than an hour, my bum, I can feel it. I mean, it's not comfortable. In fact, that's one of my main things about this bike that I would prefer to fix. Like the seat, the suspension is a little stiff, but the seat is the one that's really just not comfy. It's super matagtag. It's not something that, I mean, you can still take it on a long ride, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's just not comfortable at all.
Is it a stock seat?
It's not soft.
Ah, okay, maybe that's why.
Yeah. It's like I may as well be sitting on plywood or something. It's just not comfortable.
I will tell you this though, actually going back to the horn placement is also the horn sound. That's one thing that I think I need to change on the XSR700. The horn, you can barely hear it. So in traffic, and especially in the Philippines, when sometimes you're not being bastos, but you just need to let people know that you're there. Yeah. Because sometimes people don't see bikes. Yeah. And I don't have a loud exhaust or anything. So I need a horn that people can hear. So I think that's due an upgrade. Yeah, my horn it's okay, it's just normal, but my exhaust is pretty loud. So I think cars know that I'm coming, or at least I'm in the vicinity of them when your exhaust is like an air horn already.
You know, another thing that I really wasn't a big fan of the bike when I first got it, when it was stock, are my indicators. That's actually something that I put Kellerman indicators on this. Mm-hmm. Honestly, it's a little bit too expensive, but I like it. I mean, I like that it's low profile, but it's a whole lot more seen, because when you turn the indicators on, it's LED, and the lights are really, really bright, but you don't really see them if the lights are not turned on, so it's kind of hidden.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. They're tiny, your indicator lights, but they are definitely a lot brighter than mine.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something I may upgrade further down the track as well. I always thought mine were fine until I saw yours.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, okay, they're super bright.
Now, what are your thoughts about riding the bike in the city, in city traffic, filtering? How much does it get hot?
Actually, it doesn't really get hot. I mean, there's just the usual heat of just like being stuck in traffic, but this bike, the 700, is amazing for filtering.
Yeah.
Once you're on it for like a day or two, and especially with the bar end mirrors on it,
yeah,
which keeps the mirrors nice and low, I can filter as well as like pretty much any underbone.
Really?
In fact, yeah, I've filtered in places where underbones haven't gone. So
okay.
I'm super, super happy, super comfortable. And it helps that I can also flat foot.
Yeah.
The bike is low enough at my height. I'm 5'11", I'm not sure what my inseam is. But it gives you that extra little feeling of security. But then, yeah, like I said, the balance and weight of this bike makes it so easy just to like go into tight little corners and everything. It's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, you talked about you flat footing the bike, and that's something I can't do on this bike. I mean, it's 830 millimeters seat height, similar to that one. I think it's about the same, 830 millimeters. And for me, 5'6", 764 millimeter inseam, I cannot flat foot the bike, but it's still not a problem filtering for me too. I mean, I can't probably go everywhere because, you know, I have to be a little bit careful if I can't reach the ground filtering. I have to be a little bit cautious, but it's still super, super manageable in the city. I honestly have never really felt the heat. I mean, I've ridden this thing everywhere, dude. Like I've put on the miles, I've put in the kilometers on this bike ever since I got it, and I don't feel the heat whatsoever, and that's something that I really enjoy about the XSR 900.
Yeah, no, it's an awesomely designed engine, and also I think the power, it's just a very, very sort of flat power band.
Yeah.
Which is also great because, you know, when filtering in traffic, I can just keep it in second gear and coast, and with a little bit of clutch and throttle control, go from like just putting along, you know, filtering through to getting a little bit of speed, and it's not a case of always having to change up and down all the time, or being too jerky. So it keeps it nice and smooth during the filter as well.
All right, but you know what I love about these two bikes, the XSR700 and the 900?
What?
I love how it feels when we open it up.
Oh.
Should we go?
All right, let's do this.
All right. The XSR700 is powered by a 689cc liquid-cooled dual overhead cam inline twin-cylinder engine that punches out 73.8 horsepower and 68 Nm of torque. Stopping power is provided by discs up front and at the rear, of course both with ABS. Keeping bumps at bay, you have a 41mm telescopic fork up front, and in the rear you have a single shock with adjustable preload. The wet weight of the XSR700 is 186 kilograms. The XSR 900 is powered by a 847cc liquid-cooled dual overhead cam inline 3-cylinder engine that punches out a whopping 115 horsepower at 10,000 RPM and 88 Nm of torque at 8,500 RPM. You do have a little bit bigger discs up front and at the rear, and of course it's got ABS as well. Keeping bumps at bay, you have a 41mm inverted fork up front with adjustable preload. While over at the rear, you have a single shock adjustable preload as well. The wet weight of the XSR 900 is at 195 kilograms. All right, so we're at Gourmet Farms, our go-to place for a quick coffee ride.
Good coffee too.
Close to Tagaytay. But Mark, let's talk about the bike. What did you do to it? I mean, because the XSR was really meant for customization, right? There's a lot of bolt-on, bolt-off parts, but you did something a little bit more.
That's right. As you said, the XSR is really built that sort of neo-retro look, and it's made for modifying, but I want to do something a little different. I really liked, this already had a silvery painted tank,
Yeah.
but I wanted it stripped down to the bare aluminum because I've always kind of liked that look.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more raw, a little bit more rustic, so I had that stripped bare, changed the seat, you know, that's kind of normal. I wanted leather grips, so I had these shipped in from overseas and wrapped there. Of course, bar end mirrors.
Yeah.
That's standard. The headlight on the XSR was serviceable.
On this XSR700.
XSR700.
Yes, a little different.
Serviceable, but a little bit chunky, I thought, for the bike. So I've got an LED. It's got a lower profile, a little bit brighter. I could probably use like extra auxiliary lights, but that was something I had to do. And then sliders, of course. Hopefully, I will never ever need these.
Sure.
Fingers crossed. On the back, I've got a luggage rack for the side panniers here on the side. Now this has really come in handy. I've actually got a saddlebag that fits right here, which is great for my day-to-day stuff. Or like when we rode up to Sagada, I could strap another bag with a little bit more on there because there's not a whole lot of room to strap on the actual back. Apart from that, I also got this, which is a dash cam. So I have a camera down the front here and another one underneath the tail light on the back. So just in case,
You have evidence.
I know that here in the Philippines people drive a little crazy, so...
That's an understatement.
Again, much like the sliders, I hope I never actually need it, but I'm glad that I have it. And then, of course, I've got this cable here. This attaches to my Hit Air airbag vest, which I always wear, especially going on longer rides. It gives that extra level of protection, just in case.
And hopefully you'll never need it.
And
right?
hopefully I will never ever need it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I've got the quad lock up here, which is mounted on a USB charger and, most importantly, a vibration mount.
Yeah.
So apparently the newer phones have very delicate cameras. The vibration can affect them. So a vibration mount developed by Quadlock means that I can safely put it on there. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, so I see also the indicators are different.
Yep.
The tail light, tail tidy as well.
Yep, all the lights.
Yeah.
And how about yours?
Well, this one, I bought it secondhand, right? And when I bought it, it already had a lot of the things. It had the auxiliary lights, it had the sliders, it had the crash guards, it had the Acra exhaust, which was one of the selling points for me, the reason why I bought it. The quick shifter was another selling point for me, which is the reason why I bought it. The levers were also changed.
Actually, you know what? I think having tried your levers, I think I want to change my levers.
Yeah, no, I think these are big, a big upgrade from the stock levers. Tail tidy, I changed. And actually, the great thing about the tail tidy, this is actually made in the Philippines.
Oh, wow.
And the guy is from the XSR group. He also has an XSR900. And then he just fabricated one himself and then started selling it online. I mean, it works just as well as the branded one.
Yeah.
And at a third of the price. So I think it's pretty worth it.
Not bad.
But I want to ask you about that. We rode to Sagada.
Yes.
Everybody was on an adventure bike except for you and another guy on a Dukes 790.
True, but he did have his was a little bit more set up for adventure.
That's right. But how was this? A naked bike with a lot of expressway riding, a little bit of let's just say hairy riding with the weather, with the fog, with the rain.
Yes.
With a lot of, sometimes there's mud on the ground, gravel.
The road river crossings.
Yeah. How was that?
Well, generally speaking, it was okay. I did make a personal mistake, and this is completely my fault. My tires were set at the recommended tire pressure, which was 33 in the front and 36 in the rear.
Which is very hard.
Which is very, very hard. And also my shocks were set to the stiffest setting. So I probably shouldn't have had it set to that. So every little bump on that road up there, and on the cement roads at every join, you feel every little thing. It was a little jarring. And so maybe I couldn't take the twisties quite as nicely as I would have liked.
Yeah.
When I came back, I just had this tuned up, and I asked them to decrease the pressure and also soften the shocks a bit, and it rides so much nicer. I wish I'd ridden it like that. That being said, on the expressway, obviously I have no windscreen, so I was getting buffeted more, but this handles just fine at expressway speeds. It's such a nicely well-balanced bike. even going over the rough. Actually, the rough is okay if I'm not taking it at speed. You know, I can stand up on the pegs on this. It's so well balanced that I've still got, you know, pretty good control over it. It actually handles pretty well.
Yeah.
In the long run.
Yeah.
And going through water, no problem.
Our little river crossing on the twisties with fog, not exactly the most pleasant experience to go through.
I think you were much better off on the big brother, the Tenere.
Of course, the Tenere and the XSR700 share the same engine, and it's a great engine.
It is amazing.
It's a fantastic engine. I do like the engine of this, the triple of the XSR900. However, I don't maximize it all the time, right? I mean, I'm probably going at about 60, 70% when I'm riding on the road, when I'm riding on the expressway. I only really get to max it out in the racetrack.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's a little bit too powerful. That's why I think this is, if you're just using it for, you know, daily or just in the city or around, or for coffee rides like here in Tagaytay, this is more suitable, I think, because you can really play with it a little bit more.
Yes.
Right. This one you have to tame a little bit more, right? Now you did mention that you just had it tuned, you just had it checked in Yamaha. Let's talk about the cost of maintenance of both bikes. So, what's really bizarre here is that Marc has had this bike longer than I've had this bike, but I've put on a whole lot more mileage than he has. But
true.
Let's talk about the cost of maintenance. How much does it cost for a normal PMS?
All right, so I just got this serviced yesterday.
Okay.
And with tax, it cost about just under 4,500 pesos.
Yeah.
So without tax, it's like 3.5 or something. And that includes oil filter change, new oil. Speaking to some of our mechanic friends, they said the Yamalube motor oil is perfect.
Yeah.
So the servicing for Yamaha is quite inexpensive.
Yes.
And I've had zero problems with the bike.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've now done 7,000 Ks. I bought it brand new, and it hasn't given me even a hint of an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, but mine, I've had this service twice. I'm due for a third time already for a tune-up, but I've had it serviced around the same price, about 4,000 bucks for the normal PMS. And I mean, that's the beauty about Japanese bikes, right? I mean, they're so relatively inexpensive to maintain as compared to the European counterparts.
Yeah.
Now, I know like some people are saying, yeah, but there's a certain status with the European bikes out there. But the fun factor of these bikes, you get the same.
Yeah.
You get the same fun factor at a fraction of the cost, and that's why I was really attracted to the XSR and to Japanese bikes like Yamaha, Honda. I think they've fantastic machines.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. I mean, not disparaging European bikes.
Oh, absolutely.
They are beautiful.
Absolutely.
They're wonderful.
If I had the money.
And yes, if money was no object.
If money,
yes.
Sure.
But really, I want something dependable.
Yeah.
That's not going to break down on me. That isn't going to cost me, an arm and a leg to fix or to service or to buy parts for. And you really can't go past Japanese reliability.
Yeah.
And this bike it rides very similar to a couple of the European bikes that I've ridden, but this feels a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
And just, knowing that it's never going to break down on me.
Yeah. No, I want to go back to the time when the day that you bought this bike. I remember it. I remember it vividly. We went to Marilake.
Yes.
Right. We rode up to Marilake. You had borrowed a Honda CB650R.
Yes, I had.
And you were deciding between this and the Honda CB650R. At the
Yes.
end of that ride, you went straight to drop off the Honda, went straight to Yamaha, and bought this bike.
That is correct. In fact, I'll go one better.
Oh, yeah.
On our ride up to Marilake, we stopped for breakfast or coffee.
Yeah.
And whilst we were there, I called up Yamaha
that's right.
and said, "Reserve me a unit. I'm coming this afternoon to pick it up."
But why? I mean, there's a lot of people out there, don't get me wrong, the Honda CB650R, fantastic bike.
Yes.
And you see a lot of them on the road, and justifiably so, because it's a Honda and it's a great bike. But why was the XSR700 calling your name more than that bike?
Well, one of my first bikes was a Honda CB400. I love the CB series. I love the, like the Super 4 engine and everything. I thought, okay, maybe the 650, it had the similar class, similar specs.
Yeah.
And it does ride amazing, but I think for my riding style, and this is what goes back to, it just felt like a part of me. The CB650 didn't feel like it was part of me. It was like, okay, I'm riding a bike that it didn't feel immediately natural.
Sure.
This bike, as soon as I got on it the first time, immediately felt
Yeah.
like a natural extension of the body.
Quick story. So the first time I took this bike to Marilake,
Yeah.
I had forgotten
that because it has riding modes. It has riding mode A, riding mode B, and then a standard, and then it has traction control as well. So I had, on the way up, I had forgotten which was the lowest or which was the highest setting of riding mode, which is the lowest. So I put it, I thought was the highest setting, but apparently I put it to the lowest. And I put the traction control to the lowest setting, which I thought it was in the highest. And as I just gave it a little bit of throttle, the front lifted just a little bit until I stepped on the rear brake for it to go down. And I realized, ooh, I gotta learn to ride this bike a little bit better.
Yikes.
Yeah, so, I mean, after a while, I figured it out.
Yeah.
And I love it. I absolutely love this bike.
Actually, there's one thing that I am jealous about with the 900 is that you do have traction control.
Yes.
It's something that I wish the 700 had. I also wish it had reverse forks.
Yeah.
How much of a difference it makes in handling, I'm not sure yet, but I kind of like the look of reverse forks.
So really quickly, let's go through the differences of the bikes, right? I mean, obviously, XSR900, it's got more power, it's got more bigger, more CC, triple. It has traction control, it has riding modes, a little bit heavier. You have better mileage.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what's your mileage on that again?
This is about 18.
All right, and this is
19.
about 25?
That's about 25 kilometers per liter. So there's a significant change in terms of the kilometers per liter.
And something that shocked me was the size of the fuel tank.
It's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It may not look it, but underneath these tank covers, they're apparently the same size tank.
Yeah, so 16 liters. You can go further with yours. Mine's a little bit faster and a little bit more safety features with the XSR900. And it also costs a little bit more as well. However, because the reason why we're doing these bikes now is because the XSR700, the new one, is already out.
Yeah.
The XSR900 is coming out, so we're going to be expecting a lot of older model XSR700 and XSR900s out in the secondary market.
Yeah.
And so we're doing this video, so hopefully the people out there who are interested to buy the secondhand bikes, you'll have an idea of what it's like to own it, how much it's going to cost, and what it feels like to own the bike. You know what? The new models, we haven't tried it yet.
No.
But I think they have such a big,
Following.
it's a big following, but it also is something to live up to.
Yeah.
Right. The XSR900 has a lot more tech. It's a TFT screen and all that. So I'm really curious to find out how the new XSR700 and the new XSR900 will be different from these two models.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see if it's gotten the upgrades that I requested, the reverse shocks and the traction control.
Yeah.
If they did, that might be a reason for me to upgrade, but otherwise, this is my baby, and I think I'll probably hang on to her for quite a while.
All right, so are you ready to switch and head back?
Yeah, game.
All right, let's do it.
Take care of my baby.
Yeah.
Maingay. Oh.
All right, so let that be a reminder. If you've had the bike for about 3 years, you should change the battery. That's why I haven't killed the bike yet. But anyway, so I knew I was gonna like the XSR700.
Yeah.
Did you like the XSR900?
You know what? I did,
yeah?
Actually. When I was looking at the XSR700 and 900 originally before I bought it, the reviews I'd read was that 900 was a lot punchier.
Yeah.
It was a lot more aggressive, it had a lot more power, and you really had to be careful with it. Now, I've been riding for a few years already, so it is now manageable.
Yeah.
That being said, I can tell that there is, I mean, if you tweak it just a little bit on the throttle,
yeah,
you can really, really feel the extra power, and you have to be careful.
You do have to be careful. And I mean, these two bikes, excellent motorcycles,
yes,
right? And like we said earlier, that we know there's going to be a lot of secondhand XSR700s, XSR900s out on the market, especially with the new ones coming out. So would you recommend both bikes to people out there?
Absolutely, I would. If you're just starting out, or you would say be an intermediate rider, absolutely get the XSR700. If you are a more advanced rider and you do want some extra speed, or you want to play around on the track, or you want to keep up with everyone else, all of your friends that have leader bikes, then yes, the 900, just be aware you need to have the skills to make sure you know how to ride it.
And the discipline.
And the discipline, yeah. But it sits really nicely on the road, accelerates really smoothly. It's a beautiful bike to ride.
All right, so I prefer the 900 still, so I'm gonna get back on my bike.
And I still prefer my 700, so I'm gonna get back on mine.
All right, so hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Beyond the Ride. For more information about these bikes and the new versions of the XSR 900 and 700, you can log on to www.motodeal.com.ph. This has been Jinno Rufino and Marc Nelson for
See
Beyond
you
the Ride.
at the next ride along.
All right. Hi, bud.
Let's do this.
Peace.